How do we keep settings organized and updated? So first let me tell you about the problem and then the solution. So the problem is this. If you want to keep, like I do, all settings that VS Code has in the settings.json file, here's what happens. When you update VS Code, settings can be removed, settings can be added, and settings can be changed. Now, with removed and newly added settings, that's easily solved. With settings that change their options, you actually have to read through the release notes, right? Because I guess you could compare the default settings of the previous version, but once you update, you don't have the previous version anymore, so it's not a really good solution. So for settings whose options changed, just read the release notes, and you should read the release notes anyway, so that you can keep updated with the things VS Code can do, right? So this is your main tool for your work, so you should definitely keep that updated. But here's the thing: when VS Code updates, or when you install, remove, or update an extension, settings can be added, removed, or updated. All right, so let's take a look at how to keep your settings organized and up to date. And this is what I do. I created this JSON diff repository. This is on GitHub, and you have the link in the description. And right now it's a manual process. Hopefully in the future, someone, maybe me, I don't know, will build an extension that does this automatically. That would be awesome. But right now, here's the process. You can download the repository, and then you copy all the settings that you have into an a.json file, right? So let's copy that here. Then you open your default settings, and you copy that to a b.json file, right? And then you just run the index.js file with Node. So let me open a terminal and run node index. And I do need to remove, I think it's here, the trailing comma. This is a problem I still have here that I haven't solved. Sorry about that. So let's run that again. And now you have two types of things in the console. Keys only in A. So A was our settings.json file. So keys only in A means settings that you have in your settings.json file that are not in your default settings.json file, which essentially means that they are settings that don't make any sense anymore. They were removed. Or maybe you uninstalled an extension and those settings were taken away, but you still have them in your settings.json file, but now you can just delete them, right? So settings only in A are settings that don't exist anymore. I mean, keys only in A because, this is a JSON object, so I called it keys. Then keys only in B are, what's B? B, it's our default settings. So keys only in B are settings that only exist in the default settings. And I know that my settings are up to date, so I know that these are actually settings that are still in the default settings.json file, but they have been deprecated. So let me actually copy these out and show it to you. And now we need to replace this little character. So let's actually find that character, replace that with this. We want to search and replace only in the selection. And when we save that, notice that they have a yellow squiggly line, and if we hover over that, we'll see that the settings deprecated, the settings deprecated, deprecated, the settings deprecated, and has been deprecated. Okay, so these settings, I don't need them anymore. What about the other ones? So actually, I'll pull this up. Well, the other ones are settings that pertain to extensions that I have installed in VS Code. So these are extensions. ESLint is an extension. AutoClose is an extension. Svelte is an extension. Peacock, Chat, HTML Hint, C and C++, C Sharp, OmniSharp, Razor, TSLint, Live Share, Run on Save, Live Server, and VS Icons. Now, I could, if I wanted, I could copy these settings into my my settings.json file, but I do not want to deal with extension settings yet, right? But when I do, whenever I install an extension, and this would be the best practice. You just do this process and say, okay, these are the extensions that, these are the settings that this extension is contributing. Let me take a look at that so that I configure my extension exactly the way I want to, right? All right, and then finally, below that, we have keys with different values. So these are keys that we changed. I guess this doesn't make much of a difference. Whatever, it's just there. It's just a console log. All right, and this is how you keep your settings up to date. Hopefully there will be an extension that does this automatically eventually. When that happens, I'll re-record this video, and you don't have to do this process manually anymore. All right, let's keep going.